Hello, hello, good evening. So, before our guest comes, I would like to take this time to say welcome. They are here, so we'll just ask you both to request to join so I can add you in. Request to join. Here it goes. Alrighty. So, welcome. Oh, here you are. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we're gonna get started, but I just want to just quickly go through something really quickly, and then we're gonna get started. So for those who are new here, this is In Session MFT. In standing for is an acronym standing for intentional. So intentional session MFT. On this platform, we talk about topics ranging from mental health to relationships to uncommon cultural conversations. My name is Raquel Simmons, for those who do not know, and I am a marriage and family therapist. And accompanied me are these two beautiful ladies, Ashante and Cassandra Julian. So I'm going to have you both introduce yourself, please. Who would like to, well, any one of you can actually go first.
Well, how much details do you want us to just explore?
Okay, so we could definitely just start off by stating your names and which one is who is who. Um, we could start off by saying that, and then we can get into how long you both have been together and how long you both have been married.
Sure. Okay. Well, my name is Shante.
Sandra.
Yes, and we have been together for coming up on. We've been in 2015, so about 7 years.
Yeah.
Like if you want to put an official date on it, we'll be coming up on 7 years on New Year's Eve, and we've been 1 year.
1 year. Yeah.
Sorry about that. We were married for 1 year as of September 17th of last
year. Nice. So for starters, you guys sound like you have like a lot of things coming up. Definitely an anniversary coming up, so that's super exciting. And congratulations on your 1 year.
Thank
you.
You.
What brought you both here today is answering the question of what made you want to get married or get married in a world that glorifies independence. So before you guys start, I do want to shine light on those who have responded to this same question previously. And different things that I heard was people get married for to create the legacy. People have gotten married or wanted to get married to start a family. I've actually heard people say that they wanted to get married to be on the same health insurance. And I've also heard people wanted to get married for the finances. And so, why do you guys think well, we could just answer the question and we could do it one by one. What do you how do you feel about that question in general? And then we can go into why you guys feel like you were ready, or what made you feel like you were ready to take on that next step. So I'm going to repeat the question, and Ashante, you can go first on how do you feel about that question in general? So the question is, oh, sorry. The question is, just to repeat it, what made you want to get married or get married in a world that glorifies independence? So when you hear that question, what comes to mind?
That I feel like people ask that question. I guess the people who glorify the independence part doesn't really see the value in marriage itself. That probably classify a lot of people as marriage as being like either an inconvenience or just a piece of paper. So it all depends on the person's mindset. because there is a way to have your own independence while being married. So it's funny that you asked the question, because I actually just seen something with a blog on someone who's really, really wealthy, rich, and they advise that they would rather not get married because they have everything. With the divorce rate so high, they'd rather not set themselves up for disappointment. So they'd rather just be lonely, essentially. But they're never really because they're wealthy, so they could, you can have company because you have wealth. But essentially, I grew up in a single parent household. I don't even remember a time where my parents were together. So I was pretty much born into a broken household. So I see my mom have several partners. My dad has several partners. But she always maintained her independence in the midst of it, meaning like she never relied on anyone for anything. So her teaching me and my upbringing of just being secure, having your own. The purpose of really having a life partner is just that, is that they are a lifelong partner. Depending on what your relationship entails, where it may be financial, it may be something beneficial, taxes, health insurance, you know what I mean? But in my eyes, I see it as someone that gets to be your partner in life, basically. You can have friends. However, it doesn't compare to having someone that you can really open yourselves up to. Um,
Nice. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to repeat the question, and then I'm going to ask Cassandra to tell me what your thoughts are based off the question before I get you both to answer it. So the question again is, what made you want to get married or get married in a world that glorifies independence? So Cassandra, what do you feel like, well, when you heard that question or when you hear that question, what comes to mind?
Well, when I first heard it, I've been pondering on it all day, and my wife is independent on her own, and so am I. And I'm like, we're coming together on our own type of growth, our own independence. We do so much together, but we both have our own mindset. We know what we want in life. We know what it is that Cassandra wants, Shantae wants. I grew up in my household. My parents are married. They've been together. So, I see my mom do her own things financially, but you still come together in a sense. Okay, my partner and I can do this together. I can still have my own mouth. I can still have my own ways, but I could mingle it together where we come together as one. So independence is, I feel like in a marriage it's not like somebody's on lock. Somebody can't do this, and whoever is in that type of relationship, you kind of lose your own independence. So to me, it's just having your own, bringing your own independence with someone else and having everything jointly. That's how I see it. I don't have an elaborate, but she answered it a lot for me. But
I feel like the most common word that I think of when I think of marriage is security.
yeah,
That's the security just within your mental, physical, financial. Having someone to maneuver through life with and make lifelong decisions with, whether they can help you grow and evolve. I think it's about the security at the end of it, rather than people thinking of it as like an inconvenience or paper. There's many pros to it as there is the cons, and it all depends on find yourself marrying, really, and what were the reasons.
So definitely first off, thank you both for sharing. Definitely want to touch back on to different things that was said, but
Okay.
I wanted you guys to kind of tell me about what you felt when you heard that question before I tell you, before I actually explain or where the question came from. And so the question came from, first off, we're in the world of 2022, where this is, let's be realistic. This is the city girls, the hot girls generation. This is like we don't need him, we don't need her, we don't need anybody. We got ourselves kind of generation where it's just like, oh, if you're not on board with who I am, you have to go. and
Yeah.
no one is actually really thinking, and I'm not going to say no one, but it is very uncommon for a lot of people within this generation to say, hey, you know what, we can actually have a partnership, we can actually grow together. It doesn't have to, we don't have to be in the mindset of, oh, you either with me or you're against me, or you're with me or you know, I'm going here, you, if you're not here with me, then where you at, kind of kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So that's actually where this question came from. This question came from this generation not necessarily being like the past generations, where we were brought up on like, oh my god, you have to get married, this is the way you're supposed to live your life. And so there's no push for it. Like, being realistic, there's no one, there's, I'm not going to say no one, it's very uncommon for people to have conversations to say, hey, you know what, I really want to get married one day, or
Yeah.
oh my god, you should get married because X, Y, and Z. There's not much education on that, or public education on that, more than there's public education on being your own person, being that independent Black woman that everyone speaks about, not knowing that you can actually still be the independent Black woman, but married as well.
Right.
So I'm going to have you both answer the question now. And the main question that I'm going to have you both, or I want you both to answer, is what made you both get married? Why did you get married? You guys stated that you have been together since 2015. First of all, goals. But since 2015, you have been together. So what? And you only have been married for 1 year. And so, what was that like? Why? If you've been together for so long, what was that push to say, you know what, I think we should get married?
I can answer.
Well, you proposed, so,
Okay.
so
um I love my wife to death. That's you know, points for that. But I just feel that yes, you could spend your entire life with this person, married or not, but the union, for me, I love history, and I'm like, there's a lot of people LGBT who fought just to get their names together on a marriage license. And it's about it, and it's about that whole time when we just signing our names together. We're gonna be able to be married together, live in the same household together, potentially adopt kids with the same sex. We can do all these things jointly together. I'm gonna put my name on everything that's your name, that you know, that both benefits us together, because we can do it now. There's so many people that fought for this, and I wanted to spend the rest of my life in the union with Ashante. That's just how my mind has seen it. Yes, I'm also in the mindset like, you date, you're in a relationship. Doesn't matter how many years before you propose, but in the end result, it was marriage for me, and the end result, she wanted to get married. I don't know what time for like an age that I wanted to get married, but I knew that's what I wanted it to be to. And you know, also a lot of people will say, you know, I want to have my last name. You know, it's just in that aspect. So that's really why I did, you know, get married to her.
Okay. Well, now you know why Cassandra proposed. Ashanti, why did you say yes? Or what made you say, you know what, yes, and go through with it?
so I guess really my view on marriage goes back to how my upbringing was. Um, like I said, I seen my parents start off in a broken household. Um, and my mom was a single mom for majority of my life. So when my dad got married, he got engaged when I was 8. He got married when I was 10. And I just feel like it was his influence, and me viewing how he treated women, how he treated his wife, is something that I always wanted. So when I used to watch my dad open doors, purchase gifts, just come from the store with his wife's favorite snack, I just told myself when I was a child that I wanted the same type of relationship that they had. Whether that, well, obviously, I just figured that marriage was the right thing to do. So I just wanted that sort of relationship that he had, and the upbringing that I watched my father and his family, his extended relatives have, where they all were traditionally married. So I knew that in the end result, that's what I wanted to do. And I'm having a little bit of a brain fart right now
It's
because
okay.
I had the answer in my head while you was talking. But what I was trying to think of marriage as, because I know there's a lot of people in lifelong relationships, people who have been dating for like 20 years with somebody, 16 years with somebody, but never taking the leap. And they try to use all of these excuses on why not get married, which, let's just use example, the piece of paper. Like, that means nothing. It's a relationship. We love each other. Why does a piece of paper need to prove that? Because again, for me, it is about the security of my children, my finances, our insurance. If I'm spending my life with this person, we're living together, and this is my go-to person, my best friend. If something happened to me, and this is the person that I trust and I've trusted for all the years, and it's me and this person throughout life, and let's just say we didn't have that piece of paper, my family would be in charge of my arrangements, my funeral arrangements. If I was cremated, my family would be in charge of whether or not I'm getting buried or cremated. If I was getting cremated, who would get the ashes? Um, they would have the ability to decide what happens to my belongings, my debit cards, everything. And that just goes to say, if I don't have a relationship with my family, imagine if you don't really have a close relationship with your family, but this is your partner in life and you don't have that paper. That's mostly where I think of the security in getting married, because you have that partner. And let's just say, for instance, we're starting off on our own, and I'm helping pour a lot into her in our relationship, whether we're growing, whether we're purchasing things together. If you're going to go out and get contracts like power of attorney paperwork, healthcare paperwork, what is all of that paperwork compared to a marriage certificate? It's, if you're going to go through the court process to get someone named as your healthcare proxy, as POA, then you go to the court and get married. Because it would be the same headache to get it all reversed once you break up. So it would be the same headache to go through a divorce. So it just sounds more traditional to just get married rather than having 7 pieces of paper saying she's in charge, but she's your girlfriend. Paper. She's in charge.
Okay. You better educate everybody here, okay? Woo, definitely agree with that. Definitely on a different level of security. So thank you for breaking that down, because not a lot of people even take that step to think, okay, yes, it's security. This is gonna be the person I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with. But what about when I'm not here? Who's gonna take care of me when I'm not here? Because things keep going, sure, but who's gonna be there? And so, whoo, okay, thank you for educating us on that, and I love your response. I would like to first also state that people are free to ask questions throughout. They will be answered. They will. I'm not gonna completely stop and say who would like to ask questions, but we could plug them in if anyone has questions. So one of the things that you both have mentioned was the fact that you can actually have a marriage and be independent at the same time, which is something that I love. So one of my questions is, well, how? How would you describe your relationship, and how would you describe your relationship together and alone in order to maintain that relationship that you both have, maintain the independence that you have, and also make sure that your partner is feeling valued, your partner is feeling loved, and but also you're feeling valued and you're feeling loved by both your partner and yourself.
Balance. It's about a balance.
Okay.
It's about a balance. When I'm alone, I'm gaming my head off. I'm gaming my head off when I'm alone. I'm working, but I know you have to know when it's time for your wife, your husband, your partner. Alone, you do what you have to do. Do the things that you're gonna prioritize that makes you happy. And then, you know, it's together time. You guys have that special moment. You guys, you know, she can want to do her, say she wants to make a makeup line or something like that. I would want to take that type of interest so we both can like have more conversation. I think conversation is what keeps it going. I don't know anything about these products, but I know about the In.session Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. You know, I'll listen. It's about listening, and basically, you know, if she's into something, I'm into something. I'll try to see how we can put them together, or we just have your own alone time, your time to reflect on life, your time to reflect on your marriage. What things can you do to spice it? What conversations can you have? What, you know, cook together? Things that it's to me is it's really about balance for me. It's really about conversation. It's really about emotion, feelings. We like to reminisce. We like to look at our old videos. We have that time. We have nicknames for each other. We have our dogs. We like to host, you know, so it's keeping us with a smile. And not gonna lie, there's times when we're down and one can be down, one can be up, can be down, one can be up. And it's just, you know, it's basically just being there, being that, again, support for that other person. And it's a real balance, but sometimes it becomes challenging, but it's like you can't have a marriage without any challenges, you know. But if you work through, you know, it's a lot to it. Balance is amazing.
Okay. There are a few things that you have mentioned that I really love that I do want to circle back towards. And it's, for starters, balancing was a huge, and listening. Being able to listen, to pay attention, not, and communicate with each other. So definitely, I definitely want to bring us back to that, but I would like for Ashante to just tell me a little bit about how do you make sure that you can keep your independence, but also make sure that your partner feels love.
Well, I feel like just piggybacking off of what she said with balance, I just think that being in a long-term relationship requires a lot of it requires compromisation. Because you mentioned earlier, there are some people who are kind of in their way, and it's kind of their way or the highway. And if you're not willing to grow or compromise, then you're not really with the right person.
Yeah.
Because before I met her, I was happily single. I like being able to do things on my own terms, on my own time. But eventually, I cared more about her feelings, and that was just genuine. I care about this person, and that's just after getting to know one another. And as you know, like being together 7 years, everything is not perfect. There's like we're getting to know each other and going through different obstacles throughout those 7 years. So as far as back to the independence part, there was a time where she was living and she had friends over all the time, like every day, nonstop. And I had to communicate. It's basically about communicating. Comfortable, like I can't have an alone conversation with you, or if you're preoccupied with your friends while I'm trying to tell you about the rough day I had at work. So there's a compromise. So it requires a lot of compromising. It's not like you can never see your friends, you can never have them over. It's just being more considerate as long as you care about the person and you want your feelings to be taken account for, then they'll reciprocate. And it's just basically about compromising back and forth, and having this one mindset, like if you can't do this, that's it. So it was a lot of as far as keeping my independence, whether I want to go somewhere or hang out with someone, you just have to learn to not do things overboard. Trust your partner, trust your partner, learn their language. You can't see something as their love language. If someone tells you that their love language is by having a conversation about their day or going out, or it is simple as PDA, which is a interesting topic, or like showing one another on social media or whatever. It's about having a conversation about that and compromise. There's times where she wants me to post her a lot, and I'd be like, I don't want to post you because I don't like the way I look. It's not that I don't like the way you look. I don't like the way I look. And then like, okay, I'll leave it up there, but I'll take it down. I'll take it down at some point. I'm not happy with how many likes it got or how many views it got or something like that. But it was out there. It was out there for however much time. So there's a compromise there. So that's pretty much how I learned to be independent, but compromise and just have a conversation in order to balance things out.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. One of the huge things that both of you have mentioned is back to the word communication. It sounds like you both communicate very well. A lot of people don't actually know this, but the number one key factor to communicate is to listen. Listen to understand and not listen to be heard. And so with that being said, one of my questions for you both are, how well do you guys communicate, and what does it look like when you guys disagree? And so I'm asking you this question because we're going to speak back to this generation as well, where this generation now, if they get into an argument or they get into a disagreement, that's it. Like, it's over, throw in the towel, we're not even discussing this, and it's right. They're very quick to just like, all right, well, what's the next? Because of what's being glorified. Back to the question of, this glorifies and this generation glorifies independence. One wrong move and you're out. And we don't take the time out, and a lot of us don't take the time out to say, wait a minute, we could actually work this out. And wait a minute, if I just listen, if I just communicate a little bit better, we can actually figure out that we're probably talking about the same things, but not really communicating it well. And so my question to you both is, how do you guys disagree, and how do you get over that type of disagreement?
Well, one thing is, Ashante and I never had taken a break. We never took a break. This is the only relationship I've been in where we never had taken a break. There was literally, it was one big argument, and and I know she'll probably say it, but she said, you know what, let me just take this time and let's talk it out. Because sometimes, like, I will just hold it in. I'm like, sometimes I need a second. And she'll go, well, what's wrong? Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. And I'm like, you just got to give somebody a second. So now, like, if we're mad at each other, if I'm not saying nothing to her, she keeps the same energy. Friends or anybody, same. She's going to keep the same energy. Sometimes I just need that moment. But when we regroup, it's like if we're mad at each other, we're not here giving quotes on Instagram, how people throw up posts. With this, next you sit with, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to embarrass her. She's not going to embarrass me. And even if I don't have the mindset, I don't want them thinking there's something wrong, but it's just not something we're going to do. Because I just think personally that's just disrespectful. So before my relationship, I was mad. I'm cursing out the other person. I'm very dramatic. I'm very petty. But to her, is sometimes I will get in that mindset. But you just have to take a second, breathe, go about your business. And it's really, at the end of the day, I could tell it's me, because she'll talk about it. And it's like I have to come around sometime to say, okay, let me get out my feelings and have a conversation. Because I have other things to occupy myself. She'll say, you didn't talk to me all day because you got the game by yourself. You got this. I'm just sitting here on TikTok. You could have talked to me about it. So I try to talk more, and I just try to stop and just say, it kind of bothers me. I just want to say, I'm kind of upset. And we'll talk about it. We'll laugh. We'll go back to calling each other little nicknames and stuff like that. So it's like you said earlier, communication. And it's just about not being petty. I can't see myself in disagreement and crazy, like how a lot of times you put in your person on social media, you write in the act to get back at that person. That's one thing I know I don't try to do. I don't see her try to do is get back at each other, because it's just going to make it worse. Like I said, we have never taken a break at. So it's like it's a very strong relationship. Down, but it's strong.
I think the main thing is just about is getting rid of your pride and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, because my relationships before her have not lasted any longer than 4 months. It was the same exact mindset of there's so many fish in the sea, or I could start over, or like I don't need to have a headache. And something that could have been so simply resolved with a conversation was just the tension allowed it to grow, and stubbornness, pettiness allowed the relationship to go away. But when you find that person who's willing to push you to be vulnerable, and you want the relationship to work, especially if it's something so small that can be resolved, not a deal breaker like cheating, stepping out, abuse, anything like that. If something so simple that can be discussed and the person is willing to work on it, all it takes is a conversation and just being vulnerable about your feelings. I was a person who grew up with a hard shell, not being exposed to a lot of comfort as a child. I was brought up with a very hard shell. She was brought up the opposite way, and she had a lot of vulnerability from her parents. So she, because there's been times where I wanted to walk away early on in our relationship, because I'm like, 3-4 months, this is usually when we get out the honeymoon phase. It's time to dip, it's time to go. But she has told me, like, you're not going nowhere. What's the problem? Tell me the problem. And then I'll be like, well, I didn't like, and that's when just so much of her in the beginning having to push me to stop being so stubborn and petty and be more vulnerable. And I was like, wow, so this is how a relationship lasts. Just talk it out.
Like, yo,
it's that easy. It's really that easy. If you can sit down and have a conversation about your feelings, and if you're not listening and not retaining the person's feelings, then obviously that's something that you need to do, self-reflecting. But if you're willing to listen, is something that you feel like, I could work on that. You're right. I could work on it. And that person is reciprocating the same energy. You can make a very healthy, long-lasting relationship with just communication alone. Obviously, having the same values, same beliefs, all that stuff helps. But communication, speaking on what bothers you, speaking on what your turn-offs on, what's your, turn-ons on, what's your love language, all of that stuff, just communicating is going to contribute to a long-lasting relationship.
So I have a follow-up question. First off, thank you for sharing. I have a follow-up question, and there is also a question of what made you make that change for her. So I want to use that question and also add on to it. So what made you finally become receptive? Because what it sounds like to me is, because your relationships prior to her, they were 4 months. It's like, all right, well, this is what you're accustomed to. You're accustomed to that once this honeymoon phase is over, I'm out.
Yeah.
And now you have someone here saying, no, we're going to talk about it. You have that persistence. But do you feel like there was ever a time where you were still hesitant because this is still new? And so because things are new, we're not always jumping for joy, like, oh my goodness, this is something, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not as common, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And so my question is, what was that point where you finally say, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit more receptive to what she's saying and actually listen and actually communicate? Because prior to it, if you're only there for 4 months or within the honeymoon phase and you're out, that means that you now had to learn a new skill, to learn how to communicate and learn how to stay and learn how to do new things for her. So what made you want to change for her, and what was that turning point to where you were a little bit more receptive to wanting to change?
Long distance.
Well, basically it was, really it was
it was me being very persistent.
Yeah, her persistency. And mostly what I think is a good point was that I was actually single 2 years prior to dating her. So it allowed me to self-reflect and see where all my relationships I went wrong. And it allowed me to ponder and think about how so many of my previous relationships might have been fixed with just a simple conversation. If I had, or like she said, trying to text an ex, or trying to do the little quotes and embarrass somebody, or like try to act like I don't need you, like you were just a figment, like you were just somebody here going, like ever had feelings for you. Like if somebody's disposable, I think that was my issue. And I look back on like my old Instagram posts, my old Facebook, my old conversations and be like, wow, yeah, I could have done better. And it took me 2 years to really identify that problem and know where my previous exes lacked and where they were great, and know spending that time alone helped me love myself more and realize my next partner. And when I met her, she had all the qualities of what I wanted in a long-term partner. So if there was a speed bump and I was being stubborn and she wanted me to open up and be vulnerable, I learned over time this could be fixed with a conversation. Just allow her to fix it. It's not something that we have to completely walk away from. Give the person some time to fix it, and that's how you can grow. And mostly because I just saw her as the person who I saw myself with a long time. So unless it got to a point where it was something that was a deal breaker, we would talk about it, hash it out, and I would allow room for growth because I was tired of that. But
remember, you was upset because I was long distance. I was upstate. Yeah. So much money to come. I said, "What do you? I'll move out there, please." Right? Yeah. I don't care where I'll go. Like I'll come out there. She's like, okay, I guess we can make this work. We talked about living with each other, but
even compromising, it wasn't more so like she'll just come out there to where I was. Yeah. We were discussing, I'll pick up and move somewhere else new also. Because I didn't want to go to her part of town. She didn't really want to come to mine. So we could have made a compromise and met somewhere halfway. We could have both picked up and started together. That way we are mutually together and one's not resenting the other for getting up and going somewhere else. But she was willing to up and come to where I was without me having to. Well, I wasn't the same. I wasn't in that area when we started. Yeah, I was only there for a few months before her. So essentially it was somewhere new for the both of us that we had to get. We've been here ever since.
Nice. So what was that persistence about, Cassandra? Like, what was it about Ashante that you were still saying no? Like, I see that you're trying to distance yourself, but you're not going anywhere. Like, what was that?
I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone in the past, but she's not easy. She's very hard to get. I don't know how PG gonna keep this, but we didn't do anything like that. So like after 4 months, and I said, "Wow, it's usually the first month or something like that," and I'm like, "Wow," And then she's very open. She's very like, she got, she's emotional. Then she started vulnerable, and I'm like, no. My family asked, "Where's Ashante?" My mom asked, "Where's Ashante?" I'm asking, "Well, I need Ashante," And it's just you compare from people you've been with before. I came with a lot of like, I don't want you to leave me if somebody does that. A lot of in my mind, I'm like, I don't want this to end. And it's like you get to a point where, for me, it was like dating is just becoming annoying. You got to make the app again. You got to do this, and I'm like, I'm not here because I'm just comfortable. I want to build with her. She's so outspoken, straight to the point. She'll say what I won't say, and it's like she'll put her foot down a little more than me, and I'm like, this is what I love. Like
it's someone helping you with the qualities that you lack, because I'll speak up when she doesn't, and she's more she always plays devil's advocate. She's always a positive person in the situation. So she has helped me. I've picked up so many different tools from her in situations where I'm like, well, let me be the devil's advocate and let me just think about the other person's perspective, because that's what she does a lot of the time. Now, I'm not all the way there, but she has helped me pick up on a lot of things that she does. And there has been times where she has spoken up for herself because she picked that up from me. Yeah. So it's just about helping each other and merging each other's personalities. And we still have hiccups. I still fall into old ways. It's no way in shape or form perfect, because I still get back to even being married. I still will be back. Like, I will get a 1-bedroom right now. Like, I'll go on Zillow. Like, I still have that way. And I'd be like, Shantae, shut up. Go sit down somewhere. Like, you are not about to be going to the court and doing this. But I'm dramatic. And then I'd be like, get out your old ways, and you know you're not going nowhere. So that's where
she's a very strong woman, and I didn't have that before.
It wasn't an overnight thing. It still isn't. I still make that mistake. That mindset. I still have it.
Nice. Definitely loved your responses for starters. And I think one of the main things that I grasped onto that was that you both are able to learn from each other, and you both, it's sort of like you complete each other because you both have strong suits, strong perspectives on different things that maybe the other one of you lacks. And so you're able to pick up the pieces where one of you aren't the strongest or the best in. So that, for starters, is amazing. One of the things that I heard you say, Cassandra, was your family was asking about her. And so that actually brings me to my next question about the level of support. And this is actually just going to come through from a perspective of being a part of the LGBTQ community. And so being a part of that community, did you feel like you had a lot of support around you, whether that was family support, whether that was friends, or just like emotional support? And if you could just talk a little bit more about that, please.
Yeah, no problem.
This question is for both of you. So being a part of the community, do you feel like you both have support within your marriage, and how has that actually affected your relationship, if it has?
Well, my family has been open since 2005. So my family, for sure, it's at this time and before, I think even in 2015, it's literally, where's Ashante? Is Ashante coming? They'll ask me a question. Oh, are we having this? Okay, they'll ask Ashante. It's okay, we can, they make sure if they tell me the message, she knows the message. My mom will come over, she'll write Ashante, they text. They've been open. They'll always say, well, where's your queen? Where's your, my aunt says. Then I'll say, my whole family has been open to it. There's no way I could hide that I am possibly with a guy. There's no way I could do that. So they knew, open, Cassandra loves women. That's what it is. And, once she came into the picture, my mom said, I love her since day one. Even though she had to wait outside because she was tired of me. But once she got to know, it's like, oh, it's Shante. They just been very open. They love her cooking. They just love her personality as a whole. They were just so happy. They even said to me, they've done it before with someone else. If, God forbid, we ever broke up, they would still call Ashante. They said, well, we still want Ashante. That's my daughter. That's my daughter. We still, so they've just always been big on that, on Ashante, being around, being a part, being family. They call her our daughter, their niece. It's just very open on my end.
Okay, Ashante.
So for me, it started off, I want to say almost the opposite. Initially, I like my family. I grew up as a straight female. I've always had an attraction for women, but I've never explored it. And so I'm sure it was a little bit of a shocker to bring Cassandra home to my family. And I grew up in a single mom household, so my mom's family is completely different from my dad. My dad's family is more traditional, heterosexual, straight, married couples. Everyone's married. It's like they're extremely traditional. And then my mom's side is extremely open. There's not as many married people on their side, like moms. But as far as being open to my LGBTQ status, it was a little bit of a bumpy road in the beginning. I mean, the first time she met my mom was very open, but we did experience some bumps in the road. I experienced bumps in the road with my dad. I mean, and we still do. We still have. It just took time, but because she was so persistent and like so open-minded, she didn't let it stop her from being with me. Even our engagement was an issue for my family, especially my mom. My dad, because they weren't really included in it. And usually the tradition is you ask the the bride-to-be's family for permission, but Cassandra didn't do that because she was worried that they would try to talk me out of it, try to ruin the surprise, or just what have you. So that was the issue, just from the get-go. And I just focused on her and realized what the end goal was, which was um, I just didn't allow. I've had moments where I cried because I wish it would be a big happy family, and where I could have the same relationship with her parent, the same relationship that I have with her parents, she could have with mine. But it took her. My mom really started to accept Cassandra more towards after a few years of really being around her. So it took time, and Cassandra was very patient. I'm not sure if any other queer woman would be patient. So I just got very lucky and just kept focused on the ultimate goal, and we still do. We still have. So I had a little bit of a shaky support system, but her family was all enough, the love that I needed. And I've had shaky moments also, especially with our wedding, her family. But ultimately, they've been a great support system overall, just making me feel comfortable and part of their family.
Always giving you don't bring me nothing.
Okay. You're hating. But that's we're pretty opposite, and we had a different upbringing from each other also.
Okay, nice. One of the things, first off, that I want to applaud you both for is being persistent and staying focused on the end goal. I think that I asked that question because our family is what we know. Our family is who we know first, and then we branch off and start creating different families from like our friends and our peers around us. But growing up, our family has a large impact on how we think or what we do, whether that's okay, we want to think exactly like them, or we want to think exactly the opposite because we don't like it. But knowing that and being able to choose your own path and say, you know what, I know whatever my family is about to think about me is fine because I have a partner who's going to be here and who is persistent, who is able to stick it throughout, the hard times, and there are hard times. So I definitely wanted to just ask that question because for those who are even still, trying to be with the person that they would love to be with, but they're having some backlash on their family's aspect, or they don't want to be looked at in a specific way, just to show them that it is possible.
Yeah.
So we're about to wrap up, but I do want to ask you both, what do you feel like some of the pros and cons are in being married?
What are the cons?
So we can let's start with some cons and then we'll lighten it up with some pros.
The cons is being scared that you, I don't want to say, but I'm just gonna say being scared that you later on. I'm scared, but because people they've been getting married lately and been getting divorced, and I'm like, what are they doing? Because I need to make sure that's not what we're doing. That's the cons of you're married with this person, but this can end. You never want to lose that person you're with. I don't feel that I'm still in the honeymoon stage because God knows we've been together since 2015. Got married, we made a year. I could just say, I guess the cons for me is, wow, this person's still here. I hope they're still here tomorrow. I hope this person's still here next year. I hope the cons are still continuing to be accepted in this world. Political, I just want to make sure that, my marriage license still sticks. And that's the type of thing, in the same sex marriage I'm going to speak on. The cons are making sure that you're accepted. I came into this world where I was just accepted. I walked in here blind, like, yeah, they like gay people. It doesn't matter. So, I'm just making sure that you get a little nervous sometimes and making sure that you're still keeping that person that she knows you can be. So let me make sure that I'm still the Cassandra that I love and better. I'm the better Cassandra that she expects. Just still keep it.
I don't feel like I have this early on that I have a con in my marriage, but if I'm trying to think of other people's perspective on what the con is just this is, I mean, it's your lifelong partner.
Yeah.
So this person holds your life essentially. Essentially, you know, because of finances or what we talked about earlier, something happens to you, end up in a coma today, tomorrow, that person has to just pull the plug.
I'm so scared of that.
Well, no, I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm being
It's okay. We're gonna get to it. We'll get to the comment.
For me is that, I mean, there's people that have married and have gotten up and walked away. You know, the con is just the court process of actually walking away officially. But that would be the only con to being in a marriage with someone, is just the process of divorce, which is a lot of people probably watch too much TV, probably have had family that went through it, and probably like, oh, it's hell. I don't never want to go through that. So I'm gonna avoid it overall. But that's probably the con that would come with it, is a divorce. But
yeah, we don't say that either.
Yeah, but I hope that's made of wood. But as far as anything else, I only view marriage as pros. That's why I got married.
Okay, and say that. And so, good.
You gotta be vulnerable with your finances with someone. You gotta be vulnerable with everything with someone. It's not, if you're a person who's just reserved and just likes to not talk about your feelings, not willing to grow, then marriage might not be the thing for you. And also, you have somebody relying on you. It's the pressure of having someone relying on you.
Oh yeah.
That's where it's like you have to do your due diligence financially, emotionally. You have to take their mental health and their feelings in account. So it's always having to think about the other person per se. You can't just make decisions thinking about yourself.
It's not a job.
So sometimes, for instance, if I go and I'm hungry and I want to buy myself breakfast, but I don't have enough money for the both of us to eat, I basically have to starve because I didn't have the breakfast for the both of us. Or, yes, I do. There's times where I will buy breakfast and I'll buy breakfast for the both of us. Like, damn, if I was single, this would have only been $2. 14. Like, why? So that's a little kind. You got to think about somebody else every time. Every time you got to think about your partner. Even when I go in the store, if I get something, I got to get a little something for you.
Yeah.
So, it's just somebody every single time. And that could be a pro and a con, because if she goes to the store, she thinks about me, and vice versa.
Definitely felt that. Definitely felt that. Are you guys still there? Wait a second. All right. So, while we were talking about the cons, I do want to switch to the pros. So, Cassandra, what are some of the pros in being married?
Thank you, Rudy. I'm sorry. The pros are definitely that Ashante is mine forever. that's one of the pros. So, the pros is definitely that. I'm sorry, I had a beautiful wedding. That's a pro. And, it was a great night. The pro is, again, I'm historical. My name is attached to another female's name in the books and the law that I'm married to a female. The pro is that this is my lifelong, show your face. This is my lifelong partner. Pro is I'm eating good every day. I'm going to get there because she cooks great. The pro is that we both can be emotional. I may come up like, yeah, but no, I'm like, baby, you get to be this. I can just be myself. The pro is she knows the real Cassandra. So it's just, you can just be who you want to be. I say, babe, I really just want to, let me see if I could go be the president next year. Okay, well, we may have to change a little something, but we can get you there, we can do something about that hat, like, so it's that The pro is this is my partner. We are teamwork. There's no I, there's us. We just have a lifelong of happiness because that's what you want to keep. I'm not thinking of anything that could just ruin it, but it could just, a pro is for me is she's my pro. So, I take that on a nice meal today.
Hashtag she's my pro. Hashtag she's my pro. Love it. That's the name of this session for tonight. Ashante, what are some of your pros in being married?
Okay, so she was very sentimental and everything. I'm gonna tell you just the basic pros of marriage. I don't pay for health insurance, y'all. She got the health insurance covered, okay? Health insurance, financially, obviously assistance financially. I'm just talking about the very common things. Having somebody that is basically going to hold you accountable and push you to be a better version of yourself. She's extremely supportive when I'm like beating myself down with my anxiety, depression. I mean, like, she's the person pushing me to get out of that state of mind that I'm in. She pushes me when she wants me to do better for myself more than I want to do better for myself. And I'm this one her further with her career. She wanted to push me further with my craft. So, and it's also just somebody that I could wake up every day and know that you're here and you're not going anywhere. It's security, waking up every morning knowing that, just being grateful for obviously God giving us another day, having the little family that we have, and just knowing that it's going to still be there tomorrow, that you're not going to roll in the middle of the night and disappear. That everything might be going good, but come to find out you might have, because this actually happened early in our relationship. So this was like when we first met 2 years prior to dating, but talking to someone consistently, thinking that y'all have something, and then they show up in a relationship because they found somebody, or they found somebody that they can actually commit to, and it wasn't you. Hi, everybody. Okay. And just surprised me with a whole relationship. I'm like,
Right.
but she fumbled that bag, and look at where she at now.
Okay.
But so that there's gonna be consistency in my life with her. I know that there's gonna be bumps, but I know that she's willing to work on it, and I know that I could be extremely emotional, 100% myself without any judgment. And that's without having to meet somebody over and over and get to know somebody over and over. It's just tiresome. It really is. It's very tiresome having to go through that cycle all over again. It does sometimes help your self-esteem, getting to know someone, and but as far as really helping yourself on the inside, having somebody there for you 100%, that's like the biggest pro, other than the other stuff I was talking about, the financial stuff.
Okay, last question. First off, thank you both for sharing, because that was amazing, and I love the responses. And this session is definitely going to be called hashtag She's My Pro. So I just both of y'all I love the responses. My last question for you both is going to be, we're going to circle back to the original question. So for those who don't know, the original question is, what made you get married or want to get married in a world that glorifies independence? And so this was the original question that sparked this type of discussion. But my question, to feed off of the original question, is actually, what would you like to say to those who want to get married but who are being probably sucked into the world or the society or the world we live in today? Or what would you say to those who don't really have marriage conversations, who wasn't brought up in a family who they know were married, or who weren't exposed to seeing someone actually be loved and knowing what that traditional marriage is supposed to look like? What are some things you think you can say to someone who is probably in the middle? Well, I want to get married, but no one else is doing it, so why would I do it?
More marriages, less baby showers. No, I wish there was a lot more marriages, honestly. Let's not even stop at baby showers. Can we get to the marriage? What I would say to everyone is, don't say, you know what, well, I'm gonna talk to you next week. Let's just get some time apart, because that time apart builds a lot of tension. Work it out, talk, take a pause, take a minute, take a beat. Don't take 24 hours, but go back. You can do a lot in 24 hours. So go back, talk to that person, see what they, fumble a conversation. I like your hair, but you know what? I had to tell you that it was a hectic night. You know, just it's just communication. Learn balance. Learn how to stay focused on what that person may want from you, not other things that you may want for yourself that she may like. She may, is he or she, look at the bigger picture of, this is a lifetime relationship. That is what you want. Not, so we can make it to 1 year. I'll see how it goes. Don't even say, we can make it to forever. Forever needs to be the. And again, please don't stop at babies. Let's have a marriage. Let's, don't think about, people think, oh, we gotta get married. How much is that gonna cost? It's $50 for a wedding license. It's $25 and $25. You don't have to do too much just to get, it's just about teamwork. Teamwork make the dream work. So that's my take on it.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Ashante, same question.
Can you repeat the question from you one more time?
Of course I can. So what you're answering is the original question. I'll state it again. Is what made you want to get married or get married in a world that glorifies this independence? And so what I was asking you was, for you both, was what kind of advice would you give to someone who's on the fence, who never actually seen the whole marriage aspect being brought up, and so they're possibly thinking, okay, yes, I want to get married, but why would I get married in a world that no one's showing me? I don't know what that is. I know I want to get married because I heard it was nice and I like that level of what it looks like, and we're seeing weddings, but we don't know the work. So what I'm asking you is, what advice or what can you say to someone who is possibly on the fence or who's interested in being married, but they don't really know probably if it's worth it?
So honestly, it would depend on who's asking the question, because it would depend on the dynamic of the relationship. There's people who've been together with ups and downs, so many things that they've went through, and they aren't married for obvious reasons. So it really would depend on what your situation is and who would be asking that question, really. I feel like you just have to take a step back and look at, like she said, what's the end goal, and what is it that you want from the relationship, and what is it that your partner wants from the relationship.
Yeah.
Those key conversations that you should be having on what both of you guys' end goals are, whether you have a timeline, whether you prefer kids first, or whatever type of goals that you have in mind should be addressed early on. That way, once the personality things come in, family, friends, all the other small little things, that can be nipped in the butt later on. But the main thing that you should both be having conversations on are values. That's the first thing. Like, you have to work on yourself first. If you, honestly, I would say therapy. Therapy for those who doesn't really have anybody to talk to, because you have to do a lot of self-reflecting first. You have to see it's not always someone else is the problem. You can't always be the victim in every situation. There's always room for growth. You have to see where you went wrong, where you went right. You have to identify what could have made your past relationships, or even the current one, if it's a bad one, in your current relationship, better. You have to take a step back and look and go from the outside and look in on your relationship and ask yourself if that's what you really want from your partner, and just on a long-term scale. If things are bad early on, then you might not want to consider on a long-term scale. As far as the independency question is, don't get comfortable. Because comfortability comes with it comes with compromising, but it blinds you in a sense. When things are getting worse in a relationship, comfortability will allow you to bypass things that are going wrong or something your partner's doing wrong just because you're comfortable, you don't want to start over, or you don't think there's anything better out there for you. You have to take a look at what's the long-term goal and actually what those problems are in your relationship. If it's something that can be fixed and you allow some time for it to be fixed and it wasn't, and the same issue keeps occurring, then obviously if it's a deal breaker, then it's a deal breaker. But honestly, I would say doing a lot of self-reflecting on how you could be better in the relationship. And I think that's what led me to being into a relationship, was looking at my mistake from my previous ones, which is just having that short-term swipe on that mindset, having somebody push me and be like, you're gonna leave me because of I'm too long of a bus ride away. You're gonna whole marriage, I mean a whole potential long relationship because I'm too long of a bus ride away. And I'm like, yeah, that does sound kind of stupid. Yeah, that's kind of little. We can fix the bus ride, better job, and we get out our parents' house and we get stable. That's like that. We're gonna be like, remember that time we was arguing about bus ride? Yeah, so if it's something like that, something small or even little things like with the friends, and it can be done with the conversation. But if we're talking about, you know, being a narcissist and controlling and all things, therapy, you have to talk to somebody on a professional scale if you don't have anyone else to look to, because your partner is not here to fix you self before someone else, like, that way you can receive what your partner.
Nice. Definitely agree with that. One of the huge things that I've heard you say was self-reflecting. That is huge. Being able to sit with yourself, and I'm a firm believer of self-reflecting, because if you can't sit with yourself, I'm not sitting with you. If you can't enjoy your own self, I don't want to sit with you. If you can't sit and see where you went wrong, we're not gonna have this conversation, because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna tell you what you did wrong. You're not gonna see it, and now where we go from there? Being able to take a step back, which is huge. Being able to take, and this may come in any shape or form, but you have to have a point where you are able to reflect and say, wait a minute, I'm going wild. I'm doing too much. When you take a step back and really realize where you went wrong, I'm a firm believer that can sharpen any relationships that you actually want. Can't sharpen every, but it sharpens every relationship that you value. And so I definitely agree with that statement. So this is the end. I want to thank you both for showing up and showing out. This was an amazing conversation, and I appreciated every piece of advice, every piece of wordings that you both said. If you would like to, I know that everybody has your Instagram if you want to say that out before we close. But if not,
It should be there. So it should go there, cats. There's no R. It's SUGAEEARCAS.
okay.
I probably IGs too, but mine's is the Brianna, TheBriJI. No, I have an underscore.
I think so.
But if you look it up, it's there.
Okay. Regardless, you both have your Instagram down on my page. If anybody would like to reach out to any one of these lovely guests to kind of ask them a little bit more questions regarding their marriage. So I'm gonna close this out again. My name is Raquel Simmons. For those who do not know, I am accompanied by the beautiful Ashante and Cassandra Julian. They are actually putting their Instagram in the chat. And excuse me, sorry. If you would like to, please reach out to them for any type of advice or any type of further questionings that you had, or you can reach out to me, the In.sessionmft profile, and I will definitely relay the message. But I hope that you all have a wonderful night, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
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 Thanks.
Later,
Take care.
y'all.
Bye-bye. Good night.